What if I told you that before the flood, angels came down to earth, took human wives, and gave birth to giants that nearly destroyed humanity? In the ancient world, long before the Great Flood, humanity began to multiply across the earth. Families grew, nations began to form, and among them were born daughters of extraordinary beauty, women who carried the fullness of human life, grace, and wonder. Their presence marked a time of growth and expansion, but it also marked the beginning of something far darker. For high above the earth, in the unseen heavenly realms, there existed beings known as the Watchers, angels assigned to observe mankind, to guide them, and to remain separate from the ways of human flesh. Yet as time passed, these Watchers began to look down upon the daughters of men, not with duty, but with desire. What began as observation slowly turned into temptation, and temptation soon became rebellion. Among these angels was their leader, Semjaza, a figure who understood the weight of what they were considering. As the others spoke of taking human women as wives, he hesitated, knowing that such an act would break the divine order established from the beginning. Angels were not meant to cross into the realm of humanity in such a way. This was not simply curiosity. It was a deliberate act of defiance against the structure of heaven itself. Semjaza feared the consequences, not just for himself, but for all of them. He warned the others, expressing concern that they might abandon the plan midway, leaving him alone to bear the punishment for a sin so great. But the others, already consumed by their desire, refused to turn back. Instead, they proposed something irreversible, a binding oath. Together, they made a solemn pact, swearing with curses upon themselves that none of them would abandon the plan. This was not a moment of weakness. It was a calculated decision. 200 angels united in rebellion, choosing desire over obedience, and sealing their fate with a vow that could not be undone. They descended from heaven to earth in the days of Jared, landing upon the summit of Mount Hermon. That mountain would forever carry the mark of their decision, its very name tied to the oath they made, a place of binding, a place where heaven and earth were joined in defiance of divine law. Once on earth, each of these angels took for himself a human wife. What followed was a union that was never meant to exist, a merging of heavenly beings with mortal flesh. This act brought about consequences that rippled through all of creation. The women became pregnant and gave birth to beings unlike anything the world had ever seen. These were Nephilim, giant of immense size and strength, towering over ordinary humans and carry within them a corrupted mixture of divine and human nature. Their presence alone altered the balance of the world. At first, humanity tried to live alongside them, but it quickly became clear that these giants were not like ordinary men. Their appetites were overwhelming. They consumed vast amounts of food, draining the resources of entire communities. Fields could not produce enough to satisfy them, and what once sustained families for months was devoured in days. Hunger spread across the land, and desperation followed. Humanity struggled under the weight of these beings, unable to keep up with their demands. And when there was nothing left consumed, the situation grew even more terrifying. The giants turned against humanity. What began as coexistence became domination. The Nephilim, driven by their insatiable hunger and corrupted nature, began to destroy those around them. Violence spread rapidly across the earth. They no longer depended on humans. They preyed on them. Entire communities were wiped out, and fear became the language of the world. The earth, once filled with life and growth, became a place of chaos, bloodshed, and suffering. But the corruption did not end with the giants. The fallen angels, the Watchers, introduced forbidden knowledge to mankind. They taught humans things that were never meant to be revealed at that time. They shared secrets of enchantments and sorcery, teaching people how to manipulate unseen forces. They revealed the cutting of roots and the hidden properties of plants, not just for healing, but for power, control, and unnatural practices. Knowledge that could have been used for good became twisted in the hands of a corrupted world. Humanity began to change. What was once a simple and growing civilization became deeply corrupted. Violence increased, morality declined, and people turned further away from the divine. The knowledge given by the Watchers accelerated this fall, pushing humanity into a state of spiritual and moral decay. The balance between heaven and earth had been broken, and the consequences were unfolding on a global scale. The earth itself seemed to cry out under the weight of this corruption. This moment marked a turning point in ancient history, a time when the boundaries between heaven and earth were violated, when power was misused, and when the consequences of rebellion became undeniable. The actions of the Watchers did not only affect themselves, they reshaped the destiny of humanity. What began as a single act of desire led to widespread destruction, proving that some boundaries exist for a reason. And as darkness covered the earth, judgment was drawing near.